Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those of you who are watching this live. I wanted to share with you some questions that have happened this week for me that I have noted from others as well as from myself. I was absolutely caught off guard this week. I'll be honest with you. As many of you know, I had ankle surgery back on the 1st of March. And I thought, oh, perfect. I'm ready to go. I knew that the fibromyalgia could affect the surgery spot. Now, remember, fibromyalgia is fiber, muscle, and pain. Okay. So it touches on the nerves and it can cause problems. Okay. Now, I knew that it could, in theory, affect the pain in the ankle, or affect the healing process in the ankle. And March went by, no problem. I was moving on along. There was some minor problems, like I was trying to use my knees instead of my feet, and I got corrected by the doctor saying, no, that's still in a sense weight bearing. And what he meant by that is that the muscles, it's like a giant X in the back and then back down to the legs. That's the best way I can define how the muscles kind of turn in the back, not in the front. That's in the back. I've been really in tune with the back muscles because of how they have affected I've noticed that the back muscles tend to flare up worse, particularly in me. That does not mean for just everybody. It can be different for each individual, okay? Because sometimes the front can be affected, but the back is primarily going to be affected because the spine to the brain, it's called a CNS in medical terms, or central nervous system, because all of your nerves come out of the spine and into the brain, and your brain is your nervous center where it picks up pain, fatigue, sweet, sour, all that stuff is in your brain. So it goes, the brain and the back, the spine are directly connected and feed the rest of the body. Now, I know this is a lot of anatomy that doesn't really, it's like, how does that have to do with fibromyalgia? And unfortunately, it has everything to do with fibromyalgia. This is why it's such a mystery syndrome. This is why so many doctors are still studying and learning on it, and some still think of it as a phantom situation, and it's not. I went through my workshop and did a lot of description, a lot more in depth, so I'm not going to do that here. I did recordings earlier, and you can check the days. I did a 3-day workshop, and you guys can check that out if you're more interested in learning about that. So what I learned is that my back was really achy, and it was actually triggering a migraine in my head. And so I kept putting pressure on my back, right in here, in this on the two side. Your spine is right in the middle, and your neck, and you put your hands on the two sides. You can feel muscle tension and maybe hear a popping. You might feel tension. And the whole thing is that when you put pressure on it, you might feel relief of the pain in the head where the migraine leads to. And that's what I was doing, and I was feeling it. So I started doing muscle relaxation techniques and using a TENS unit. Now, a TENS unit simply sends electrical impulses into the nerves and helps them to relax. Some people can handle that better than they can handle acupuncture. Some people handle acupuncture better than they handle the electrode impulses. So I'd be happy to put in some links down below for you to check out the TENS unit. I highly recommend it. How I learned about it was from my physical therapist. And I told her when I went to see her, I said, look, I've already used it. I don't know what's going on, but I do know my ankle was starting. It wasn't directly popping. What I had learned was that I've gotten to, when you have fibromyalgia, you have to get in tune with your body. Okay, so for me, I was noticing my my ligaments and my tendons were starting to snap up my calf and causing direct pain points right where the surgery was at. And I told her about this and I said, I think that means that I'm getting to where I'm overdoing it. That's my sign to stop. And she said, it is. So with fibromyalgia, we tend to push and push and push past the pain point, push and push because people are saying, oh, you're so lazy. Oh, why are you so tired? Oh, this is made up in your head. No, actually, the more you push, the more you keep going, the more you keep honoring other people. It's not an honor. It's actually a downfall for you as disrespect to your body. And the problem is that you'll end up paying for it later and those around you. And that builds up more stress, more tension, and more fibro flares, for what it's worth. Anyhow, what I learned through this is that surgery, any kind of trauma, now I say trauma in quotations because of the fact that trauma can be just like a simple punch in the arm or a pull or pushing something really heavy or pulling something really heavy, moving, squatting, doing a lot of extra exercise in surgeries. All of these can cause an after detrimental effect to the fibromyalgia, just for what it's worth. And I learned this week myself. I mean, I suspected, but come on, peoples, March, April, May, here we are, beginning of June, and all of a sudden now it's hitting me. Yes, because with fibromyalgia, it's a delayed reaction. The muscles and the fibers, our bodies are uniquely built, and fibromyalgia, it takes time, and it takes each moment can add on to a different moment, and they end up building up together and they end up causing issues. So that was my lesson, is that, oh yeah, even 2 to 3 months later, you can still be paying for something. The more traumatic the experience, be it surgery or, and I didn't even know that my ankle surgery was considered a big thing. They said, yeah. So stroke, surgeries like, I mean, any kind of surgeries, cancers, any health conditions, this can all affect the fibromyalgia in the long run, meaning months, meaning years. I mean, I wasn't even diagnosed originally with the fibromyalgia for over 10 years having it. I didn't even know I had it. I just thought I was exhausted after a day of busy work, after a day of doing stuff. Like for me, now I describe in the description a little bit more about this, but like a full day of work, like a nurse or a doctor being on your feet all day, and then you sit down at night, you might feel tingles going up your body or up your feet or in your back. That's the beginning signs of a potential fibromyalgia. It is called chronic fatigue or chronic pain syndrome. You know, the chronic pain or chronic fatigue syndrome. You've got to be aware of those because those can actually, in time, lead directly to the fibromyalgia. That's where the square that I kind of described. There's chronic fatigue syndrome, there's chronic pain, and either one of those, you can have either one that can lead to directly to fibromyalgia, or you can end up having both of them, which equals fibromyalgia. So, for what it's worth, I just wanted to get that clarified, that that was a question I had about it that I had to bring, because I was like, this is almost 3 months in. I'm getting my 3 months checkup in about 5 days, in which I will be learning about my ankle and the progress, because regardless, what I've noticed in this particular case, now this is not all cases, this is just this case, with the fibromyalgia, it has slowed down the healing process. the recovery process, I should say. They say that I am healed. The central part is healed, but the healing process, the movement, the activities have been slowed down because of the fibromyalgia. So from this and from the studies that I've done, any kind of thing like that, heart, stroke, any of these other surgeries, anything like that, the fibromyalgia will slow down the activity aspect of progress, for what it's worth. It's a bummer and annoyed. I'm really annoyed about that. I don't know about you, but I'm a get up and go kind of girl. I got to move. I got to keep grooving. And if I can't keep moving and grooving and keep my mind processing, in fact, yesterday, I remember coming into the house and saying, I'm busy. My mom's like asking me, okay, how is everything going? I said, I'm busy. Don't bother me unless it's something important. And it wasn't meaning to be rude or mean, but because I had my brain going in a forward momentum of getting things done and I didn't want to lose my momentum. And her words were, so what else is new? Now, the reason she said that is because if I don't have something to do at all times, I go stir crazy. I have to have something to do or I go just mental. Okay, so that was question number 1. I try to do 3 questions each time I go live. So the next one that I wanted to clarify was working with fibromyalgia. Can you go to work? And I kind of did cover this when I said about the full-time, as a doctor, as a nurse. Oh, factory workers, big. If you're a factory worker, that can also cause issues, especially if you can't release the stresses. If you don't have a way to release, and I mean going straight to like workout, exercise after doing a workout. Hello, you've just put your body, I'm talking calm, relax, and let the stresses go. Let your body experience just not having to move. That's where I was going with that. Now, can you work with fibromyalgia? The one thing that I highly recommend with this is that for the most part, if fibromyalgia has affected you to the way I described, basically feeling pain or feeling fatigued, feeling just lethargic most of the time, or even struggling to work, my best description here, work from home. Try to find a way that you can do some work from home. And the reason I say this is because that way you have more control over your environment, over your surroundings, because surroundings and environment. Now, let me tell you something about surroundings and environment. I have been finding myself getting a little bit like emotionally overwhelmed. And this is where counseling comes in, because I shared with my counselor, I told her I wanted to do a virtual with her. And there was a reason. I wanted to show her what I was dealing with. And what's going on is that I went from 2017, being in a 2-bedroom apartment with my late husband, to a storage unit, living from a storage unit and moving. 1 month we were on at one place, another month we moved into another place, and then the last move, we moved into the house that I'm currently in. Now, mind you, during that time, I didn't get rid of any of the stuff because I wasn't there. I'm still struggling a bit, but I realized that what's going on for me is that I'm having a problem letting go of those things that I had in my apartment, because I was all set up for a nice living setup. I wanted to have a home, like a house, a small house, something where I could actually have my own, maybe do a little bit of cooking, share my cooking so that I can help others. Because I found that food and cooking really help with fibromyalgia. And I really wanted to help with encouraging that. Well, here it is 5 years later, and I don't have a house, and I don't have a lot of his things, meaning my late husband, but I still have a lot of things, and the house that I'm in also has all of their things. Now, in the tween time, the storage unit where I had all of my stuff was broken into, and some of the pieces that I had in there had paint strewn all over them. So we agreed to empty out my storage unit and put it into this house that was already filled with all the household people's stuff. So a little bit chaotic now, and that's why all of my crafting, all of my artworks, everything else are all in this house. I mean, I have boxes behind me, little shoe boxes that are filled with yarn. And I have clothing to upcycle and let go of. Some of it is perfectly good as is and just letting go of it. Now, why do I bring these up? Because these are potential work from home things. Now, I love to craft. I love to be artistic. So taking those things and making something from them, showing people how to do different arts and crafts to relax, to take it easy, shifting the energies that I have within me and letting them go, the anxiety, the stressors, etc., putting them out and letting go and being at peace through it all, and then selling it and helping, which allows me to have an income coming in, because my income got cut off back in 2017 as well. So selling these things off, selling the crafting off, selling all of what I just mentioned, gradually selling it off, let's go of some of that stuff and let's go of that environmental tension, because what your eyes see can also cause a stressful reaction. Now, I moved around a bunch of stuff in the main part of the house and started to pull things out and pull things, meaning the different furniture items. I was pulling those out and starting to take pictures and getting ready to let them go. Now, was this a little bit stressful? No, because I had family helping me because I can't lift. Because I've noticed that my back, if it's starting to stress out, I have to stop. So I wanted to keep going. I knew I could take pictures, but I knew I couldn't lift. So I had them do the lifting, and I took pictures of it to get it on the move of letting it go. There's no point in keeping, and it's easily replaceable. And that's something that you need to learn, find for yourself. What things can I let go of that are easily replaceable later on should I need them? So what I'm explaining here is basically a work from home, selling things off, finding a way to let go of things that will bring in an income for you. In the long run, my goal is to be able to help others and teach others through these arts and crafts of relaxing techniques and tension release, etc. That is a work from home idea for people with fibromyalgia. This is one example of many. I have a few ideas to do on YouTube, but that's still yet to come. But there's also call center work that you can do from home. Now, some people might get stressed out by call center work because that's a lot of sitting down and that's a lot of taking in of other people's stuff. And what I mean by other people's stuff is their emotions, their tensions, their stresses. And sometimes persons with fibromyalgia taking in that stress and taking in that extra energy can be a challenge to those with fibromyalgia, especially. So I just thought I would share that with you. Now, here's a little quick note in quotations for you that do not have fibromyalgia. I wanted to describe it to you. Now, I have it written down in the description, but I really feel a need to share with you exactly what I mean. Okay. Fibromyalgia, I've gone into description in my workshop about fibro-my-algia. Okay. That's exactly how it's defined. Algia is simply pain. Okay. That is what Latin word is. Okay. So imagine having the flu. Imagine having it so bad you ache all over, and to have anybody near you is just a dread. You don't want to be touched. You don't want to be moved. You don't want to get out of bed. Imagine the worst case of flu. Now, take away the flu fever, take away the flu chills. You have fibromyalgia. That is fibromyalgia in a nutshell. Are there other symptoms and pains? You bet. But that is a base description how I can help somebody who doesn't have fibromyalgia, who really wants to understand what is fibromyalgia. The feelings that you have from a really bad case of the flu, that is fibromyalgia feeling. It's not precise, but it's a good idea. Do I recommend flu for everybody? In fact, here's a little cliff side note is that people with fibromyalgia do not want to get the flu. Now, you might say, Scarlo, why do you say that? Simple. Because people with fibromyalgia already know what the flu feels like all the time. Now imagine fibromyalgia with the flu. Double whammy. Because they already know what it feels like. Then to have the heat and have the fever and have the chills added on top of it, on top of the already painful feeling of the fibromyalgia. Yeah. Now, do I recommend the flu shot vaccine? Not a day in the world. No, I do not recommend the flu shot for people with fibromyalgia once they have it, simply because there's too many strains that go out, and the fibromyalgia and the flu shot could also have an interaction between each other. Plus the fact that it could be a different strain of flu than what they're vaccinating for. That's something that I've talked about with a family member that I struggled to get along with. And that was actually something we really did get along with about. So I was like, woohoo, we're getting along with this one. I'll take it, because we both agree. There's so many strains of flu, and you can find this in the medical journals. There's multiple strains of flu, and I would not be surprised if this new pandemic situation, it's already showing to be similar to the flu, only with way more detrimental effects. So flu vaccine, come on, peoples, we got to get with it on the strains. And fibromyalgia with the vaccine, it's just one more problem. And the side effects. Oh, we don't even go into the side effects. So the last part, and this kind of feeds into my last question that I found. Can fibromyalgia go internal? The answer, short, sweet, is yes, it can. The sad part is that fibromyalgia starts out at different points in the body. There's 18 total points as possible. This is where it's first diagnosed. This is not where it stops. And I'm going to get to that in just a moment. There's 18 points, medically speaking. 11 points of those 18 have to be touched to be able to classify as fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia syndrome. Fibromyalgia is short for fibromyalgia syndrome, and medical terms FMS. So, what do I mean by it can go internal? Our bodies are all made of muscle and tissue. Come on, peoples. That's the heart, the main muscle, all of the and it's not common. This is not common what I'm about to describe, but I saw somebody asking about this. And I'm like, you know what? I can honestly see where somebody might experience that feeling going internal. But it's only after you haven't been touched on with already on the outside. If your outsides haven't been already diagnosed clinically, if the doctors are just kind of pushing it off, remember at the very beginning, I said that doctors sometimes like, yeah, whatever. And then it goes internal because they haven't touched on the outside. So you're aching like crazy on the outside. You're hurting like crazy on the outside. You have all these pains. You have all this fatigue. And they're like, no, it's all in your head. And then all of a sudden your internal takes it on because your external hasn't been touched. So The internal, meaning the gut, the colon, the all that stuff hasn't been touched. If these things haven't been touched properly, it's going to go internal. And that's because it hasn't been touched on. Now, to be honest with you, I've also had a question about, will it kill you? No. Fibromyalgia will not kill you. It'll make you wish you were dead. I'm not going to deny that one. You know, there's times when you're in so much pain and so much agony, you're curled up on the floor and like ready to die. I am not going to take that one away. But can fibromyalgia itself kill you? The answer, in short, no. I have not seen one case of fibromyalgia being on a death record. No. What fibromyalgia does is it's actual spasms. Your body can be in complete spasms. You're not going to die. You're going to feel it. You're going to be in pain about it, but you're not going to die. You're going to wish it, but you're not. And the only way to stop it is by medications. At that point, you have no more choices at that point. If it's gone to that point, you need medication, you need medical intervention, big time, and the doctors need to wake up. Okay. I am not a medical professional. I am a life coach. I am a certified life coach. I am a reverend, as in a minister. And I have experienced this debilitating syndrome over decades, not just by myself, but watching others as well. It's not common for the internals to be affected. Okay. When they do get affected, it's in excruciating pain and you can be hospitalized. However, there is medication to slow it down, to stop it, and to get the pains reversed. But the doctors have to wake up to it. Otherwise, you're going to be in significant amount of pain and barely being able to function. Can it cause a heart attack? No, it cannot cause a heart attack. Stressors themselves can cause a heart attack. Stressors trigger points, traumas, and I should say trigger points more classified as emotional triggers. They can trigger the tension, the muscles, yes, but can they trigger a heart attack? No. And this is coming from somebody who's dealt with hypertension, somebody who's dealt with all of these health issues. No. Can it make the fibromyalgia worse? Yeah. But will it cause blood pressure heightening? No. Will it make you think it? Oh, yeah. But that's time to breathe. That's time to relax. So I'm going to give you a breathing technique here that was given to me by a counselor to help with relaxation. It's called the 3-2-4. Now, when she told me this, I was like, what's that? Now, there are different variations to this breathing technique, but it definitely is a good start to help. You breathe in, 2, 3, hold, 1, 2, and out, 2, 3, 4. That's what you do. And you do this until your body relaxes. And that's the basics of a breathing technique, to get your body to relax. Now, did I do that a little bit fast? Yes, because I'm going a bit longer than I had really wanted to on this video, but these are key elements that are so important. And I'm going to end with this note. It was brought to my attention this last weekend, I should say, that there is a serious need for prayer, for a time of relaxation, for a time of meditation, for a time of sharing. So I'm going to be starting a prayer and scripture time. It will not be on my fibromyalgia Q&A day. It will be earlier in the week. You can keep an eye on that. As things get close, more in tune, I'll be posting on my main part of my description of exactly all of these special days and what's involved. And I'm also going to start to share about different work from home for disabled jobs available for those who want to work but can't, like with fibromyalgia. That is my other part of the project that I'm doing. I'll be doing a different channel completely with what's called ASMR. And it's basically to work on the brain and to get things relaxed so you just kind of breathe and relax. And, the potential is to fall asleep. Anyhow, so that was my side note there. And those 3 items about the prayer and scripture, about a time of sharing work from home, and then an alternate channel from the ASMR. If you're interested in knowing more about the ASMR, please let me know in the comments below. If you've liked what you've heard so far, please go ahead and subscribe and leave a comment for me. I do respond to those. Thank you so much, and I wish you a blessed, wonderful rest of the day. Take care.